Recording.
Good afternoon, Capstone 490. My name is Jeffrey Boyd.
And my name is Timothy Tamora, and this is our leadership presentation on the Philippines. In order to better understand their leadership style, we must understand their geographical location. The Philippines is located on the northern and eastern hemisphere and is positioned off the southeastern coast of Asia. It's directly east of Vietnam and northeast of Malaysia. The Philippines has roughly around 7,000 islands that are made up of mountainous terrain and are seismically active. These influences that they have come from 350 years of being conquered by the Spaniards. In 1898, the United States Naval came in and liberated the Philippines, which is where they get their Western influence. The Filipinos are not only from 100 years of influence, but also the 350 years of Spanish colonialism. Because of these different interactions with different countries, the main languages spoken in the Philippines are Tagalog, Cebuano, and English, which is the second largest English-speaking nation in the world.
I'll take it here. So in terms of current leadership, the current leader is Rodrigo Duterte, whom is very outspoken, fearless, and militant. He embodies a Dirty Harry style and is fighting a serious war on drugs and crime with no regard for criminal life. He has no problem with vigilante justice and is sometimes seen as somewhat of a dictator, but he still has an 80% approval rating, so not bad for the country, right? Duterte secured his office in 2016 by, again, positioning himself in heavy favor of the war against drugs and crime. The Philippines is a paternalistic society that, although democratic in nature, leans towards restricting freedom and responsibility to those that are what they deem subordinate or kind of lower class. The country's leadership management style is in line with classic paternalistic representation often found in strongly hierarchical cultures. Business and economics wise, the Philippines' main source of industry are agriculture, wood products, electronics assembly, garment and footwear manufacturing, mining, and fishing. In addition, the Philippines boasts a flourishing tourism market, and they receive money from other countries for the over 10 million workers that they have overseas. And a lot of these workers are here in America, or a lot of Filipino influence is actually here in America. The main agricultural exports of the Philippines are coconuts, bananas, and tuna. And now we'll hand it off to Tim for religion.
As far as religion goes, strong impact on the way they see their leadership. The Philippines are a strong family-oriented culture. There's roughly 70% Roman Catholic, which is uncommon for the Asia making of the Philippines. They also are a Christian society, and other religions that can be found in the Philippines are Protestant, Muslim, and Buddhist. You can see how that has an effect on their leadership because the Philippines exhibit high scores in human orientation and in-group collectivism. They demonstrate strong family loyalty and deep concern for the community. The culture encourages and rewards people for being fair, altruistic, generous, caring, and kind to others. Their leaders tend to be autocratic and more effective than those who lead by inviting others in the decision-making. They characterize their leaders as being collaborative, inspirational, and sensitive to people's needs, which falls kind of straight in lines with transformational leadership.
Sure. Okay, in terms of, these are the, go ahead, Tim, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll take this one, Jen. The six scores that they have in terms of power, distance, individualism, masculinity, uncertainty, avoidance, and long-term orientation, along with indulgence, is scored on the next page. This is how their culture sees themselves in terms of leaders and followers. Jeffrey?
Okay, so looks like in power distance, masculinity, long-term orientation, with all these, the 6 of them, power distance, 94%, which is pretty high, and we kind of spoke to that earlier. 32% individualism, masculinity, they're a little bit over average, right? Uncertainty avoidance, a little bit below average. Long-term orientation, very low. It's probably their lowest score, obviously. And then indulgence, they're about 42%, which is a little bit less than half, overall.
And you can see here, culture is defined as a collective mental programming of the human mind, which distinguishes one group of people from another, which is where we find our cultural background.
So power distance, this is just getting into the power distance. It scored a 94%. Separation of powers based on family name, history, age, money, education, among other things. There seems to be 2 classes, rich and poor. There is no middle class. The leaders are expected to lead, and the followers need to follow without question, making the leaders, they have to teach as well, right? So it's just not like, it's a symbiotic relationship almost. Authority is the ultimate. It needs to be respected. The Filipino culture accepts its power distance, even though there may be a huge variance in the socioeconomic status within the system. Equal power share is not being demonstrated, but it is also not a primary issue or pain point for the society since again, it's been working.
On the opposite end of the spectrum is individualism. The Philippines scored a 32 in individualism. Their society is a democracy that yields great power to authority and no public disrespect country comparison. Drugs and crime are frowned upon, and those who are associated with or a part of these things are subject to grave consequences. They are a strong Spanish and English influence. They have carved a basis for their society that they rely heavily on fitting in within societal norms. So they like to go with what's in line with their cultural norms. They adhere to and because of this adherence to the norms, it makes them strong within their Filipino families.
Takes us to masculinity. And it looks like the Philippines scored a 64 in masculinity. Philippines is on the border of feminine, more of a feminine society. And feminine society is pretty much defined as where quality of life and the sign of success in standing out from the crowd is not admirable. They demonstrate values such as caring for others, and with the tendency towards quality of life. Fundamental motivation of this society is to like what you do, be loyal, and adhere to authority.
Uncertainty avoidance. The Philippines are kind of right in the middle there with a score of 44. Their society believes that all things are predetermined and happen for a reason. They're not concerned with controlling the future, but yet going with the flow. This would prove that they're not anxiety with ambiguity.
Long-term orientation, the Philippines scored 27, which again was low. Philippines gives credence to either normative or pragmatic approaches to long-term societal orientation. Their culture is wrought with outsider conquest and adaptation to Western English and Spanish cultural influences, which is what happens when you get conquered. There's nothing you can do. There's plenty of uprisings, but in the end, they got a lot of their influence from Spanish and English cultures. With 350 years of okay.
The Philippines scored a 42 in indulgence. The Filipino culture is restrained in the way that they frown upon public criticism. They are conformists who are polite, modest, and speak high to their feelings. Very hospitable and love social gathering like parties and other social gatherings as well. All this breaks down to the point that the Philippines, the people that are in their culture are heavily reliant on their cultural backgrounds. It's a type of community that says that they're gonna listen to the higher authority and they are happy going with that flow. Do you have anything to add to that?
No, great. I'll ask you the question. Would you want to go be a leader here or in the Philippines?
Well, based on our findings, I would choose to not be a leader because I don't think that my transformational or authentic style of leadership would go very far there. I'd want to be able to go in and make a difference and be able to change and help others grow. And it seems like it's only those who are in higher power that have that choice. As far as you go, how do you feel about being a leader in the Philippines?
I don't think I'd mind. It's not ideal because there's no real middle class. But as long as I was a leader and I was at the top, I know it sounds kind of sad, but no one's being mistreated. It doesn't seem like. It seems like it wouldn't be a terrible thing, and as long as we stayed true to our ideals, it'd be fine.
So based on that, how can you take what you learned about the leadership practices with their culture and use it to improve your current leadership practice?
I guess you can say how to make things better, right? I would definitely, if I had the chance, integrate a middle class. Not to mention, if I am going to be functioning within a true democracy, I would want that democracy to work for the people, by the people, and so forth. So how about yourself? How can you use what you've learned about the leadership practices and the culture investigated to improve your current leadership practices?
So what I take away from it is I feel that I would want to enable people or empower them to become stronger and help them grow to become leaders themselves, which is the exact opposite of what the Philippines does in their current practice.
Sure.
My goal would be to help inspire people and have an abundance of leaders, business owners, and other people flourish, which is why the United States scored so high in individualism.
Sure.
So I think I just want to act like my way or the highway.
Or the highway.
More or less, everyone has an opinion. It's good to hear it. That's the way we're going to have creative innovation.
Right.
Well, we appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to our presentation. My name is Timothy Tamora.
And I'm Jeffrey Boyd.
And these are our citations and references. Have a good one.